So thank you very much. I'm super excited to be in Warsaw. It's my first time in Warsaw. It's my first time speaking in an old cinema. It's my first time in such a huge stage, basically. And to be honest with you, it's going to be the first time I reflect on certain things I've learned during all those 3 years that I'm involved with media startups. So a few things about me. Basically, I'm one of the founders of AthensLive. I've worked with the Council of Europe building media startups. I'm Entrepreneurial Journalism Fellow at the Town Center in New York, and now I'm developing a new project called Epsilon that is a messaging app that connects publishers to their audiences. So what is AthensLive? AthensLive is basically like a new narrative, but covering Greece. We do English language reporting from Greece. Since the conference is about storytelling, I'm going to tell you, and my presentation is really boring, actually. I'm gonna tell you our story, how we started, just to get a grasp of how it feels to build your own media startup. So this is basically my initial team. You know, we were working for Foreign Press. These are 3 photographers and cameramen, and that's this guy to your right. That's me, the producer and journalist. And then we decided to grow the team, and then we got super serious about this thing. You know, because of several reasons I will explain later. And we worked more. We worked a lot actually to prepare a crowdfunding campaign. It's very hard. So we kind of launched our campaign, Make Athens Live. We did it before Make America Great Again. So yeah, we launched our campaign. We received lots of support from mostly the Western world. This is our Hungarian partners, Direct 36. There's some amazing investigative journalists in Hungary. This is The Nation, if you can see. This is activists. This is some very famous porn stars. Others found God in our work. This is probably the best thing that has been written about us. It's by a friend. And I think it's really funny, to be honest with you. So these are exactly the stages we went through, from like liking an idea to actually making an idea happen. Facebook is really accurate in this when it comes to entrepreneurial journalism. So this is us after the campaign. This is myself and Sotiris, the co-founder. This money is fake. Actually, it's from a photo shoot. We were taking photos of those safe boxes. We need to make a living. So this is what our moms think we do. This is what we sometimes do in Athens. You know, sometimes things are quite laid back. We're a very small newsroom. This is what we actually do, and this is our office, part of our office. But what is AthensLive? What is truly AthensLive? So it's the first news outlet in Greece that raised its seed money through crowdfunding. We're Greece's first and only non-profit newsroom. Actually, when we went to the tax office to register our company as a non-profit, the lady behind the counter, she looked at us like, "Are you serious about this?" We're like, "Yes." And basically, most of all, you know, it's an experiment, because when we started, we didn't know where this thing is going to lead us. We knew that there is some potential, but also we knew that this potential could be lethal. And we were crazy enough to take this risk. Some people might say stupid. But the reason behind our passion for this was that there was space. There was space in the news market, and also a couple years ago, you know, everyone was talking about all the business models that are dying. Everyone was talking about how the news are broken and how we should innovate and try to fix the news and all the models. So there was a need for independent news from Greece, because there were no actually independent news outlets telling the story in English. But also there was a need for new emerging news outlets, and there still is a scene of crowdfunded news outlets around Europe. So we jumped on that train, and here we are today. So I'm going to talk about our publishing model, because after our campaign, we had a bunch of money, and we said, now what do we do with this kind of money? And there were two different, let's say, two different opinions in our team. We were very divided. Some were saying that we should build a website and try to do this the traditional way with advertising and telling news with like a certain regular daily flow. Others said, like, who reads websites anymore? Like our moms that think we jump on cars and we smash cars, they just read websites. No, everyone's on mobile, so why would we need a website? The idea behind the publishing model was that we were not able to create technology for several reasons, because A, is expensive, B, Greece is not in the epicenter of the latest technological developments in the media. So what we thought would be cool, and probably we will make money out of this, but also it would be fun, is instead of selling technology, to sell methodology. And this is why we followed a social-first model. That meant that we were, as news gatherers, we were gathering news from the center of the city or Greece, and we were disseminating them on social media under the format of every social media. So Instagram has a different format than Facebook, and Medium has a little different format than Twitter. And this is really interesting to do. It was really interesting to do back then, just because very few news outlets were doing it. And we wanted to try. Let me tell you something in advance. We failed. We were talking from Greece towards to an international audience, and this meant that we couldn't talk about everything. People are not interested in Greece all the time. We wanted to do a very certain and specific type of storytelling that had two pillars. The first pillar is that we wanted to tell stories that would engage our community and would engage our audience, and actually would engage the people who are interested in Greece for their own reasons, or they just want to read a cool story. And the second pillar was that we wanted to do innovative storytelling, which meant that we want to explore how the news are being told online. By the way, I suggest that you find on Twitter a news report on BBC Africa about some sort of genocide. I don't really remember right now. You should find this and read what I'm talking about and understand what I'm talking about. After 2 years, and since we started as a social video channel, as a hardcore startup doing social video, because our core product was video, like. Our team is probably the best videographers in Greece, and we were focusing on this. Video couldn't actually work on the stage we wanted to, because A, we were writing and speaking English, and B, Greece is a regularly small market for this. So from being a purely social video channel, now we have ended up publishing news on Facebook. We have ended up doing investigations and publishing them on Medium. And our latest thing is data journalism. So the other process that we went through is that we started as a startup. We started as a for-profit company. And that was basically my company, and we were raising money through investors. But it's extremely hard to raise money from investors and VCs if you just want to produce content. No one's going to give you that money because it's highly political. Unless you create technology, then probably you have some chances. So we decided that all this VC funding is not quite a concept for the news right now. And back then it was like a huge nonprofit journalism was a huge thing that was exploding. So we switched, we pivoted, as others might say, to nonprofit journalism. So now after a couple of years, the things we're seeing is that while Greece is out of the spotlight, but our audience keeps engaging with us, and half of them come from Greece, that they read our news in English and they just spread them on their social pages for their friends abroad, or all the Greeks who are abroad, they work as ambassadors for Greece in our news. So we're thinking of launching in Greek. And also we're thinking of taking advantage of the huge numbers in tourism and this other gap in the digital market when it comes to Greek tourism, and probably launching something like a guide for Athens. So I'm gonna talk about our mistakes right now. It's the first time I'm gonna do this publicly. I hope my colleagues aren't watching. So the first, our biggest mistakes are here. I was having a conversation with one of my co-founders about this a couple of weeks ago, and these are 4 mistakes. Like, don't do these mistakes if you want to start something on your own. So we never launched a newsletter. That meant, even though we had thousands of emails and people were subscribing, we never launched a newsletter. That means we were never able to create a personal relationship to our community and our readers. Which is like, now I think of this, it's completely stupid. It would take us 2 hours every week, and we would be like talking to our community. We never did. Anyway, we started totally broke. Like, I'm going to talk about this in a few slides. Like, we started literally with 0 money, and this is not a sane way to do it, because there are some dynamics and some tensions created over money that can be extremely bad for team spirit and generally for the business. And while we were a team of like 12 journalists, only half of us had worked together in the past, and the others were just part of our team as friends, you know, and aspiring partners, which is not something you should do. If you want to start something, you should get together a team and simulate every process before you actually launch. And our biggest mistake, this is the most stupid thing I've done I've done many stupid things, but this was the most stupid thing I've ever done. And everyone agrees back at the office in Athens. When we launched our crowdfunding campaign, we used Facebook as our main platform to spread our message. You know what? We didn't sponsor this post. Like, crowdfunding is all about reaching out to people and trying to get 10 to 15 or 5% of them to give you money. And while Facebook was there for us, basically they were renting us, their audience, we were too stupid to say, oh, Facebook, hi, you know, can we give you some money so you take our message to 1 million people, you know, to 1 million more people? We didn't. So, yeah, I don't even want to think about this. I decided, you know, that through the struggles, the most important thing is to share our knowledge. So I'm going to talk about the lessons I got from this 3-year journey. The first thing that I believe that everyone should know is that I think that like almost everyone in here is a journalist. Like, you're not only journalists, you're also publishers of yourself. You're also salespeople, you know. Journalists need to understand the business of journalism. They need to understand how to monetize, exactly because of all these new models that are popping out of nowhere, you know. And when you have social media, which are basically a CMS for free, you can make it. You can make it. So you have to understand how the business works. And since most of you are also digital journalists, this means that you are Swiss Army knives in the media. It means that you can shoot video and edit on your phone. It means that you can do podcasts. It means that you can write. It means that you can edit on your computer. It means that you can host a TV show, whatever. This doesn't make you a journalist. This makes you a media worker. So you have to understand how the business works. Also, don't trust any middleman. You know, there's several saviors and agencies that come up and are the intermediaries between you and your community and your audience. No, this doesn't work anymore. At least it doesn't work when you want to be sustainable. And basically, since as journalists we know how to produce content, what we don't know is how to make money. And it's the money part that's not working. It's not the content. There is so much good content out there. What is not? So it's money. It's sustainability. So the second lesson, the second thing I want to talk about, and the lessons I've learned about this, is a business model, which it's rather important, because business models are absolutely intertwined with the quality of your news. And here's a very simple example. Like Tina Rosenberg was speaking about this earlier. If an editor writes a hilarious headline, guess what? Everyone's going to click on this. They're going to have millions of views, which means that they bring in more advertisers. So while advertisers pay more, quality of news goes down, and I think this sucks. So if you want to start something, it's super fun. Your business model is probably going to fail. You know, the business is shifting so much. Like, it's changing every 6 months. There are all these new trends. Like now, if we were talking about the trends now, we could be going to be talking about blockchain or something. So it's okay. It's absolutely okay to start without a business model. It's absolutely okay to start without knowing how you're going to make money. If what you're doing is worth, you definitely are going to make money. And as Werner Herzog, since we're in the cinema, says, do something that kicks ass and money will follow. And since the business plan is about the quality of your news and the sustainability, you know, it's the only thing that's going to save you. Having revenue guarantees autonomy. The other lesson is about community. I consider journalism like a very important service. I consider journalism a service, even though it's not a product, and even though there are products within journalism, such as apps or whatever. You need to serve a community, and you need to focus on an audience. Like AthensLive. AthensLive has a community of Greek expats, of expats who live in Greece, of Greeks that are abroad and they don't speak Greek. So we focused on this community. So talking about a community and serving a community, it means that you have to be part of this community. For example, myself, I identify, you know, with, let's say, 3 communities. I'm European, I am a sailor, and I have anxiety, which is also a community, people with anxiety. And, you know, I think that the #1 revenue is your readers. So engaging with the community makes you not profitable, but actually turns your readership into like paying members. And the #1 question you should answer when it comes to serving your community is what's in it for them. Like, why are they going to pay? Which is rather important. They're not going to pay for some like ideological reason, even though some people pay for this, but they're going to pay because they get quality news. So when it comes to the product, should I be more quick because I see like zeros right here on the timer, or am I okay?
Relax.
All right.
But not too much.
All right. Okay. I think I'm quite done in a few slides. So also what I've learned about product is that product is extremely important because it's what people actually see. So it has to be one thing that you do best. Like if you say news about, let's say, if you tell news about, I don't know, labor, you should be the one that is an expert in this. And when you're building something, it should be quick, cheap, and ugly. Like sometimes you just speak too. And when you're building something, there is this circle of prototyping, testing, fixing again and again and again and again. It never actually ends. And when it comes to websites, they should be dynamic, interactive, and of course mobile first. Unless only your mom wants to read this. Yeah, here are a few things I thought of last night. Don't start if you haven't done your homework. You should have done your homework really, really well if you want to pitch an idea or if you want to start your own business. Don't start if you're not sure that you're gonna be able to keep doing this for at least like 6 months or 1 year. Because if you drop it after 2 months, you know what? You lose all your credibility as a journalist and as a person, because your friends ask you, "Oh, what happened with this newsletter you started?" And you're like, you know, I got bored. Don't start if you don't want to do any sales. Sales might mean also like grant making. Don't start if you don't want to lose your friends. I don't want to go further with this. Why are you laughing? And also don't start if you don't want to be constantly criticized and without giving any credit. You know, if you start your own news venture, you're always going to be responsible for the failures, never the success. But the good news is that, you know, I advise you to start a news venture. Yeah, it's great. So start if you have a community that you want to serve, you want to talk to them, and you want to engage with them. If you have something to say that others don't, like if you're saying technology news and you want to do a podcast about technology news, do this. You know, start if you have made some money from your previous job and you can sustain yourself, because if you start something, you need to really focus on this and you don't have time for anything else. Like you can't have a job and start something on the side. You have to focus in one thing, in the only one thing you're doing. And building your own news outlet, it's a unique professional experience. Being the insider of and seeing and actually building something, it's quite unique, and it's experience that later on can be really highly paid, and media companies pay for this for experience, which is something I recently found out. I was like, you want me just to have a meeting with you and pay me for this? Sounds really good. And also, you start a news venture if you have issues with press freedom or issues with self expression. So I'm done. You look scary today. But let me tell you something. Do you know what's the #1 fear in the world?
No.
It's public speaking. Yeah, it's not me. It's some university that says this. So this is my definition of journalism. This is what I came up during the last years. Actually, I kind of heard about this. I connected words, and so journalism is collecting, filtering, publishing, and distributing stories, not news, but stories. And here is a question I'd like to talk to you later on. Yeah, during lunch, not now. So my question is, should we bring science in the art of storytelling, or should we bring art in the science of storytelling? And this is it for me. Thank you very much for your attention, and thanks for this wonderful summit.